Good afternoon. So I got up this morning and had just a delicious cup of coffee and had an idea. So here it is. Mochaccino. So I have frozen coffee with cocoa. I have goat's milk frozen. So this is going to be about 70% coffee frozen with cocoa and 30% goat's milk frozen. And that's my lye over there. Then you'll see I have some beans I have ground. I have some whole beans and my fragrance, which is a coffee essential oil and a chocolate essential oil. Thus, mochaccino, which is generally coffee with cream and cocoa. Sound good? Sound good to me. All right, so now what I'm going to do is to slowly add the lye. Oh, let me stop and put this in an ice bath first, though. Almost forgot. All right, now we have a nice ice bath here so that goat milk doesn't get too hot. Now I'm going to slowly add my lye solution and mix until well melted. So I'm editing out some of this process because, well, as you well know, because of the double ice bath, this takes a little while. So I'll jump forward a bit here just to get us through that. Terrific. Thanks so much for your patience. Well, it's now all melted. Pretty much. There are a couple little small flecks there. And you'll see the cocoa and the coffee and the goat's milk come together just to make a lovely, lovely color. One thing I will say going forward, I would add a bit more cocoa because coffee tends to lose some of its. These were espresso beans, very dark, and it was a very dark, rich cup of coffee that I made. However, the lye seems to lighten it up a bit, so I think I would add a bit more cocoa just to darken it a bit more, or even perhaps a little bit of activated charcoal. So I'm now adding my lye, goat milk, and coffee mixture to my oils and butters. So time to bring in the stick blender here. I just like to give this a gentle mixing first, just to see what we've got. And it didn't take very long to bring this to emulsification. I just like to make sure all those oils are well incorporated before I separate it. So I'm pouring off just a bit here to color differently. First I thought it would be coffee and I would just run a cream swirl through it. Then I thought, no, I'll add the grounds to it and then pour that through to just create a different look. I am going to add in just a bit of TD to slightly lighten this part of it to try to differentiate it. And yes, I'm adding TD directly to the soap rather than mixing it with water first, which I generally always do. I had forgot to mix some up, so I thought I'm going to give this a try. I've never done it. I've never mixed TD directly into the soap batter like this before, so it may be a mistake. Just that it may not disperse properly. It seems that it actually did, which surprised me, because I've now got the finished soap and it actually worked better than I thought. It's just everybody says disperse it in water first to make sure that you don't end up with clumps, and I didn't end up with any clumps, so it's nice when things work out that way. So I'm just pouring in the base here, the first level, which will be, yeah, I almost forgot to add my fragrance oils in. Not, I mean my essential oils. This is coffee and chocolate essential oils. And they didn't seem to affect the trace, nor did they seem to affect the color that much at first. You'll see what I mean at the cut. So now I'm going to pour it into the mold now that it's scented, right? I don't know if you can tell. Do you see how much this is lightened up already? Yeah. That was the one problem that I didn't think about, how the lye would affect the color. And some of it could be the essential oil too. It really lightened it quite a bit. So I actually used more coffee than I had intended because thought, okay, well then I'll darken up this a bit, but then I thought, well, that would be silly to have the lighter color as the main color and the darker colors. So I just went with it. And luckily, as usual, once it cured, it was much darker. So I need to just hold the faith. And these colors weren't variant enough to really make a big difference. I will say that. And had the base been darker and then I done something to keep the second pour lighter, I think it would have worked a little better. So I'm just pouring off the extra into a side mold. I apologize for not starting the camera back sooner. I do apologize. I'm sorry. I just took a fork and textured the top just a little bit, and I'm just adding some coffee beans. And I actually tried to add a good amount because I wanted to make sure every bar had coffee beans. So as you can see there is a partial gel, which I had to address on the side. But also the two colors blended. See there's just no real variation. So it was kind of a pointless to do the two color because I didn't actually get it. And you'll see how light this is. But in the final, in the curing process, overnight, this got very dark, as you can see in the photograph to follow. There's not a whole lot to show here because, well, these aren't fancy. There's no swirl. It's just great old coffee and chocolate scented soap. And it smells wonderful. It really does. And this will give a nice exfoliation as well. I'm very happy with the way that they look. But they're different than what I had intended, most certainly. I want to thank you all, and also have some news to share. I've opened an Etsy store, and you'll see the link down in the description of this video. It's new, so forgive if it's a little understocked right now. I'm going to get that taken care of. So thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them. And subscribe if you haven't already. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.